If you ever find yourself wondering what you can do to stay strong or improve your strength and mobility as you get older, we've got a fun video here today with 5 great tips to help you do just that. My name is Joel, and this is the movement approach, where we believe if you move better, move more often, you're going to live a healthier, happier life. In today's video, we are going to use the lifestyle of a caveman or prehistoric man to demonstrate what you can do in your own life and adapt to certain philosophies and certain research-based facts that will help you move better, live healthier, stay out of the hospital as you get older. These can become habits that you implement in your life that can be very simple. So let's think about cavemen. When you think about a caveman, you think of a man who's dirty, unshowered, hair is all ratty. They're wearing a loincloth, no shoes. They're carrying a stick. They're walking around in the woods. Same thing as a cave woman. They're obviously better clothed. They shop in better outlets. 200,000 years ago, if you understood what life was like, there were several things that went on that were required on a daily basis for cavemen and prehistoric men and women to thrive. Those things involved having to get your own food. We did not have, plants and companies that were making food for us in the grocery stores. They weren't there. So hunting and gathering was the way that these folks got their food. They were constantly on the move. They were never sedentary. They were never sitting. Their whole day was geared around survival, which involved a whole lot of different lifestyles than we have in the Western world today. The other thing that's important to understand is they did not have any hint of some of the diseases that we have today. Some of the chronic diseases that we have in the Western world today, they were not present. Certainly, we know they didn't have any health care, so their lifespan was affected by the fact that they didn't have health care, and youth was a very challenging time. But once a caveman and a prehistoric man was in adulthood, they could pretty much expect to live a healthy life for an average of what we expect to live in the Western world today. Through research, there have been a few things that were found that demonstrate what a caveman had to do in order to survive on a daily basis. And this is where we get into these ideas that we're going to use to help you be stronger and move better as you go forward into your older years. So, number one, research shows that a caveman had to be able to squat into a deep position and stay in that position for about 30 minutes at a time. So whether they were building fire, they were processing, the hunting that they were successful with that day, they were working on the berries and the things that they found from other food perspectives, you had to be able to be in a squatted position for about 30 minutes. So that's number one. Number two is that they had to be able to walk about 20 miles per day. So you're dealing with a lot of hunting, a lot of gathering, a lot of trying to find resources to help them live safe and get the nutrients and the food and the things that they needed on a daily basis for themselves and their cohorts. So walking 20 miles a day is number two. The ability to do that was absolutely necessary in prehistoric times. The third thing is that they had to be able to hang from a tree and climb into a tree. Obviously, I'm not sure any of us have done any of that in very, very long time, but that was necessary to live their lifestyle and to be successful and to survive. Number four is they had to be able to carry their body weight for at least a half mile without rest. Now, again, this is geared towards the hunting side of things, or carrying firewood and things like that. So carrying their body weight for half a mile without rest was another skill that was needed. And the fifth was that they had to be able to swim in rough water for 10 minutes. So 5 things that research correlates very well with, that had to be capabilities of cavemen or prehistoric men and women just in order to survive. Now, there's a gentleman who discovered these things, and his name is Erwan Le Corre, Erwanlecorre. Those are not guesses. Those are based on his research of prehistoric man. Now, if we take that information and we move into modern day, there's actually a tribe in Tanzania called the Hadza, Hadza, and they live an extremely similar lifestyle. Now, this is where it becomes evident that perhaps that lifestyle or aspect of that lifestyle can benefit us in the Western world. So the Hadza, they hunt, they gather, they walk quite a bit. They're out in the wild. They have no modern resources whatsoever. They have no health care whatsoever. They're very, very similar in their lifestyle as prehistoric man was 200,000 years ago. So the Hadza, as prehistoric man as well, they do not have any of the chronic diseases that we see in the Western world, certainly nowhere near to the degree that we see it. There's no obesity, there's no heart disease, there's no Alzheimer's, there's no Parkinson's or multiple sclerosis. They're quite healthy, and in my opinion, and the opinion of many, many others, the lifestyle, when you compare it to how we live in the Western world, is quite a huge factor that keeps those diseases away. They literally have none of those diseases in their modern tribe, the same as prehistoric man did not have those diseases. Those diseases, our diseases that we see on a regular basis in the Western world, in the United States, came about many, many, many years later. Chronic heart issues, diabetes, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, those types of things were not around in the era of prehistoric man, and they're not around in the tribe that lives in the way that prehistoric man lives today. This is today. They live in Africa, in Tanzania. And many people have studied that tribe. So there's a lot of correlation between the way they live their lives and overall health and mobility. So that's what we want to take. We want to take all of that information and adapt it. Okay? We want to adapt it and apply it to the way that we live as humans in the Western world, so that we can change to do things and stop doing things that are bad for us. We want to do things that are good for our bodies to be able to improve our health span and improve our longevity, so that we can be happier and move better and not decline quickly into chronic disease that we have to live with for years. Okay? So let's compare their lifestyle to the lifestyle of what we see in the Western world. Okay? The Western world, from a visual perspective, 50% of adults are considered obese, and 20% of children are considered obese. That is a ridiculous number on both sides. Our lifestyle is more sedentary. It is more in the way of not moving rather than moving, because we don't have a need to do so. Prehistoric man, they have a need to move. They had a need to move because they had to survive by gathering their food and hunting. They had no choice. We have gotten kind of lazy in the Western world, where movement has not been a priority, and simplicity and ease of acquisition of our foods has become a priority. So let's think of fast foods. Okay, fast foods, honestly, people, that's killing us. It's killing us in the Western world. It's one of the main reasons that 50% of our population is considered obese and unhealthy. And obesity by itself, okay, from a visual perspective, is not what we're concerned with. We're concerned with what comes along with that. People who carry around extra weight are putting multiple times more stress on their cardiac system and the respiratory system, meaning that more stress is going to break that system down faster, meaning it's taking years off your life to simply be moving around as a heavier person. The more obese you are, the more likely you are to develop diabetes, which causes a whole realm of other physical issues from a disease process. So it's the obesity that's attached to the health concerns that is really an issue when I talk about that. So if we in the Western world are moving very little, and current recommendations for older adults, I think, are 150 minutes per week of regular vigorous exercise. If you're not getting 150 minutes per week and you're eating a diet that is, just garbage, for lack of a better word, if the majority of your diet involves sugar, sodas, things like that, sugar is a terrible substance. If the majority of your diet is cheap food that is processed, we're in bad shape here with that kind of stuff, and it's become habitual. So that's the difference between the way we live in the Western world and the way prehistoric man and the current tribe of Hadza lives. So what do we take from it? What do we use from their example, their lifestyle? And believe me, they didn't choose to live that way. They had to live that way. I guess if they had iPhones to look at all day, or Netflix, or they had McDonald's to run to on a daily basis for their food, you'd see many more illustrations of cavemen that looked a little bit more like Barney Rubble than what we see on a traditional basis. So let's go back and we'll touch on the 5 things that the research shows that cavemen had to be able to do on a daily basis to be able to survive and live. Number 1 was stay in a deep, deep squat for 30 minutes. Number 2, walk 20 miles per day. Number 3, be able to hang from a tree and climb into that tree. Number 4, be able to carry their body weight for half a mile without rest. Number 5, swim in rough water for 10 minutes. Now, there are very few people that can actually do any of that stuff, even in their youth. So we are not jumping from 0 to 100 in one fell swoop. But what I want you to do is understand the concepts behind each of those principles, and I'm going to combine a few and just give you some ideas on what you can do on a daily basis. If we think of those 5 things as being essential to helping us move better, live better, and be healthier as we get older, we can adapt those to work the body in a similar fashion, and that will only help us as we get older. So, the number one thing that they had to be able to do is stay in a deep squat for 30 minutes. Okay. Now, depending on your age and your capabilities, you are going to start off in different capabilities in your life. If you are able to get down into a deep squat, simply spending some time in that position actually correlates through research definitively with longevity. So people that can get down into a deeper squat as they get older live longer and they live healthier. That's proven. That's a proven fact. So if you can get into that position, practice being in that position on a regular basis. Same thing getting down to the ground. If you can get down to the floor and back up by yourself, those 2 things go hand in hand. Spend some time sitting on the floor. Sit on the floor, do whatever you would do on a normal daily basis. Sit on the floor. Be in a squatted position to do things around the house. Try and impact that and get it in more into your day on a regular basis, and that will cover that part of it. If you cannot get into a deep squat, okay, you can still benefit by doing partial squats. So the easiest thing to do is stand and hold on to something that is very solid, maybe your kitchen counter by your sink, maybe a stair railing or 2 stair railings. maybe a solid chair that you know is not going to move. Squat down as far as you feel like you can handle, and then back up. And do that many times throughout the day, repeatedly. Okay? Getting into, telling you how many repetitions and sets to do is not within the realm of this video, but we'll have stuff like that on other videos on the channel. But just doing that repeatedly through the day, as much as you can do, you'll get the benefit from it. If that's difficult for reasons of pain or weakness or anything like that, what you can do is you can simply do an exercise that is simply called sit to stand. And this is another video that we have on our channel, and I'll put a link to it in the video. You just stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down, as many times as you can in a row. You do that a bunch of times throughout the day, and you're getting the same benefit that Caveman with the capability of squatting down for 30 minutes had. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, they had the ability to walk 20 miles per day. So if you do have that ability to walk 20 miles per day, go for it. But I think we have to kind of be realistic here, and really just walking more is going to be extremely beneficial. Instead of sitting, make sure you get up every hour, as an example. Okay, walk as long as you can every hour, every 2 hours, whatever you can do. Listen to your body and adapt and do what you can do, and increase the amount of time that you can tolerate walking. It'll be very beneficial. Number three, hanging from a tree and climbing into the tree. We're going to combine with number four, which is carrying your body weight. So we're going to work similar muscles that prehistoric man would use to be able to pull themselves into a tree with this exercise, and then also the ability to carry their body weight for half a mile. So this is called a farmer's carry. Very, very simple. You can use weights if you have weights in the house, if you have dumbbells of whatever size you can hold on to for a few minutes in each hand, or you can use cans or jars or gallon jugs. If you take a gallon jug and you fill it to the top, that's 8 pounds. A half gallon would then be 4 pounds. A soup can is generally about 1 pound. So the idea is you hold on to these objects, one in each hand, okay, as heavy as you can handle, and you let them hang down by your knees on the side of your body, and you simply walk back and forth as many times as you can until you need to take a break. Okay, you repeat that process over and over again on a regular basis. The important thing with this exercise, is grip strength. And believe it or not, the stronger your grip is, the more you can squeeze and hold something in your hand, the likely you are to live a longer and healthier life. That's more research, again, that's been proven. The stronger your squeeze is, the longer you're likely to live and the healthier you're going to be. So farmer's carry. The last one, swimming in rough water for 10 minutes. Now, this is going to touch on your cardiorespiratory capabilities. Okay, so swimming requires a great deal of endurance, and it really gets your heart rate going. It gets your respiratory system going, which aren't any things that you need to really be afraid of. I'm going to link another video here to kind of explain what my philosophies on shortness of breath are, so that you can use that information with this exercise. So swimming is an aerobic activity. So we just need to have you do something at a pace that increases your breathing, not too far, but to the point where maybe it's tough to have a conversation. You can have a conversation, but it's a challenge. And you can breathe at that level and exercise at that level until you feel like you need a break. So things like walking up and down the steps multiple times, simply walking faster, things like that in the house, that can give you the same stimulus that prehistoric man required of his body, being able to swim for 10 minutes in rough water. So those 5 things, okay, if you implement them on a daily basis to whatever degree that you can safely perform, again, always check with your physician to make sure that this is something that your body is okay with doing, and there's no reason that you shouldn't be doing it from a medical perspective. So the bonus tip in this video has to do with your nutrition and the way cavemen ate. So this is also very research based. It's based on fact. It's based on studies that have proven that what we eat on a daily basis, what we buy in the grocery store on a daily basis, is literally killing us. It's my philosophy that is supported by a great deal of studies and research that food can be medicine and food can also be poison. And we are more likely to be eating food that is poisonous, believe it or not. So the caveman diet, the prehistoric diet, there's no preservatives. Nothing is processed. Obviously, nothing comes in a box, in a bag, in a jar, okay? Anything that comes in a box, a bag, or a jar is processed with chemicals. And frankly, in America, our regulations on what people can put in to their food that is sold are not as strong as they are in other countries. So there are things in our food that have a terrible effect on us. So one main rule is if God made it, you can eat it. If you would never keep an ingredient on your shelf to cook with, you probably shouldn't be eating it because it's linked in with other things that are definitely not good for you. So if you would not keep it on your shelf to cook with, don't eat it. What you want to be doing is avoiding sugar. Sugar is poison. Sugar is absolute poison. There's nothing beneficial from sugar. If you're drinking sodas and soft drinks and things like that, lemonades and fruit punch and all this kind of stuff, in most of those drinks, 100% of the calorie comes from sugar. It's terrible. It's a pro-inflammatory substance, which means if you have any inflammation in your body, arthritis, for example, the sugar is going to make that feel worse when you're using it. I don't like artificial sugars either. I don't think they're studied enough. I don't think they're proven to be safe. And they have a similar effect on your brain as regular sugar does anyway. So I think those things have to be avoided. I would avoid anything that's processed. Eat plenty of greens, okay? Plenty of what the earth gives you. That's what the prehistoric man based his diet on because he had to. Fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, things like that. Get as much of that in your body as possible, and you will leave out the garbage, such as fast food. Fast food is garbage. It's trash. For the amount of cars that go through a McDonald's drive-through, it's literally no surprise that 50% of our population is considered obese and unhealthy. And 20% of children, guys, come on, it's terrible. We don't even give children a chance because we're just feeding them something that's easy and it's easy to acquire and it's cheap. And it's cheap because it's crap. And then the other part is just move more, okay? If you move more, like we talked about earlier, that's the caveman way. So the sixth bonus tip is the caveman diet. If the earth gives it to you, you can eat it. Stay away from preservatives, boxed things, bags things in a bag. Sugar is poison. Eat lean meat and fish, and you'll be okay. It's not a specific diet. It's just a grouping of what I believe makes sense. So I hope all of this helps. This was a long video, and if you've made it this far, hopefully you've already liked the video and you've subscribed to the channel and you find this stuff beneficial. Again, this is the movement approach where we believe if you're moving better, moving more, you're going to live a healthier, happier life. So we hope to see you on the next one. Be good and do good.